Welcome to the CEO and the Salesman podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Whyatt. I'm the salesman part of the title. Each week, I sit down with CEOs and entrepreneurs to discuss and dissect their journeys, filled with triumphs, challenges, and some good old-fashioned business wisdom. Get ready to laugh, learn, and be inspired as we dig into leadership, strategy, sales, marketing, and everything in between. This is the CEO and the Salesman podcast. Let's get on with the show. Welcome to the CEO and the Salesman podcast, where I interview CEOs from around the world. And today we're joined by Jarrod Chesney from Synerty. And Synerty is a really interesting business, very, very niche. It works in the power distribution space and the utility. So welcome, Jarrod. How are you going today?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, really well, mate, really well. We had a bit of a rocky start. Lucky we've got editors to get rid of that other stuff. Mate, what I wanted to talk about today is when we had a conversation just the other day, you were talking about some of the challenges that you've gone through. You've built up two reasonably successful businesses, and you were talking about how you've been able to bring those two businesses together but still keep them moderately separate. So what has been your biggest challenge when trying to grow these two businesses?
Time, I guess. The biggest challenge in trying to grow the two businesses. The first business, Synerty, is in an enterprise space. So the biggest challenge there is that all sales take at least 2 years unless you happen to meet the client when they have an urgent need. And that's where our best sales come from. And for the other business, reaching out and making a product that is easy for people to use and understand, delivering a solution that can deliver a complex outcome that is simple to use.
And so what's the other business? So we know about the utilities business. What's the other one?
The other business is a TuneOps. So it's a infrastructure automation or digital automation package. And our goal is to make that administrative tasks extremely easy to use and with a piece of software that's extremely easy to download and install and use as well.
Right,
and that product came from our work at Synerty, working with distribution utilities, because it's in the operational technology space, it's a niche area where there are a small number of system administrators that have to deal with a large number of systems. So they don't have time to hire an extra person that's a automation specialist or learn it themselves, but everyone writes scripts. So we wrote software specifically for their use case. And some of the things the product does is it uses out of the box scripts that administrators would be writing anyway, and it also generates documentation, which is another requirement they had for their change management.
And so when you say you want to, so you were talking the other day about product-led growth, and what do you believe is the keys to that product-led growth piece?
So for product-led growth, it's really pushed us to try and make the product easier to use for people who, let's say if we go for the Synerty perspective, we sell to project managers, and executives, and then they get the product, they put it in, they tell their staff they have to use it. So user adoption's kind of easier when it's forced on them.
Right.
But product-led growth for a TuneOps, we have to make the product easy to use, so it's got to have instructions and onboarding. It just has to be something someone can download and work their way through without being helped. Also, we have a lot of hands-on help with our enterprise customers. So that's the big difference, and I think it is keeping us in check and trying to make the product easier to use as well for our enterprise customers.
Yeah, got it. I actually have got a few clients over the years who have tried to do product-led growth and tried to offer the free trials and create a situation where they just have the deals clicking over. The challenge is they've needed to integrate significant number of things and onboard a whole bunch of people and change the way that they work significantly. And those demos have really fallen a bit flat. So I can see how your nuance there of trying to make it really easy to download, really easy to install. So how quick? So do you think about the velocity of value? How quickly can a person get value out of the product? Is that part of your mindset there?
Yeah, it definitely is. Like that's the way we try and focus on it. We don't try and focus on getting downloads. We try and focus on people getting value from the product. And that's the real goal. They can see value, I think, depending on what setup they're using, in about 2 minutes, maybe 10 minutes if they're going a bit quick. But that's what we would call the aha moment, getting to that point, understanding what the product does, how it can help. There is, I guess, a lot of conceptual learning to go with it. The product itself is not intended to be that complicated, but conceptually it unlocks ideas. So here's this tool, here is its possibilities, and then over time you would understand more and more what you could do with it. Like a spoon, you just eat food with a spoon, or if you thought of all the uses you could have for a spoon. Like this morning I was using it for opening a mandarin and slide it around the skin. Yep. So it's that kind of thing. Sorry, what was your question?
No, that's fine. No, that's so. The conversation was around about how do we make it easy and create those aha moments. You've absolutely nailed it. So, also we talked about the other day about marketing, and obviously I'm always interested in marketing and sales and how you've gone about that. So, do you want to tell me a bit about how your most successful marketing campaign that you've run? Yeah. And what was the motivation behind it as well?
It's so over the course of time, we got to a certain point where we got to the product was good and presentable and everything. We're happy to promote it, which is usually always well past the point of past a minimum viable product when we probably should be promoting it. But it's one of those things, never quite perfect. So we asked one of our customers if we could use their network and anonymize it all. So the enterprise product that we've sold for that marketing campaign it's an infinite canvas, so you can zoom in and zoom out and view the schematical view of the network, like the electricity network. So there's a live demo you can see at peak.synerty.com for that. And
I'll link that down below in the show notes.
Yeah. So we got permission to use the network and anonymize it all, so you can't tell where it's from. And then that allowed us to then show it publicly, because we could, well, basically, if we couldn't show off other people's data, it's just look at this black box. So you can zoom in and zoom out with an iPad, for example, and look through the whole network, run traces on it, and view equipment information. It's used for people in the office to view the network of the electricity network, and also people on the field crews that drive around in trucks. And then, so we got to that point and we thought, well, I'm always reading books about marketing and sales and whatnot. So we got inspired to send out iPads to utilities. And I received some pushback about this from the staff and whatnot, thinking it was a waste of money. I'm like, well, I know how much sales costs, so I think it's actually pretty cheap. So we ended up sending 2 or 3, or somewhere between 1 and 3 iPads to all the utilities in our market that didn't have our product.
Wow! And how many iPads did you send out eventually?
We sent out 20.
Wow. Okay. So you just took iPads and sent them out cold, and so was there a letter with it? So how do you? Just take me through that process. That's fascinating. So you've invested, $20,000 or $10,000 or something like that
in the iPads, yeah. So then there's another probably $20,000 of effort into it. So we got we got sign writers. The wrap that you wrap cars in, So we got sign writers to print up a full-size sticker on the back of the iPad, and the sticker goes through and says step 1, step 2, step 3, and explains how to do a self-demo of the product. So they're looking at it, they could turn it over. It's got the login password, how to run the traces and everything, how to explore the whole product. So we got sign writers to do that, and up the top of on the bevel, we got another sticker put on saying, here's a password, please turn over, because people actually didn't notice. So we did that, and then we got we had to put an app on it, and we just removed all the other apps so it looked clean and sent it out like that. So it was pretty much out, and the iPad box had a big Synerty sticker on the front, so instead of saying Apple, it said Synerty. That was pretty much it. And there's also, so we use Brevo as our sales management system or pipeline. So you go in there and create your contacts, find your contacts, call them up first, and we created a sales process for this, basically. So we go through and make sure that we've contacted the person. We're going to send you iPads. Yes, we can send the iPads. And then we had things that you could probably expect in the sales process to follow them up. And then we'd give them a bit of more information, ask them if they'd tried this, ask them that, and progress through them, continually nudging them to use it.
And how successful was it?
Well, I'd say it varied a lot in terms of what people did with it and what the results were. oddly enough, yeah, the most successful ones were ones where they didn't want to talk to us at all. Anyway, we sent iPads to him, and he was leaving, and he sent it, passed them to someone else, and then it made its way through the management team. Yeah, they didn't want to talk to us at all until they had evaluated it, the product 3 times, and decided they wanted to buy it, which is interesting.
Wow.
That had a few questions in email, but that was about it. We provided pretty much everything they wanted. And then other ones, they looked at it and they didn't come back to it. We nudged them and not much happened. One person had left by the time the iPad had got there. So yeah, some of the larger utilities who got 3 iPads had a lot of engagement with them, but like I said, enterprise sales is a 2-year cycle. They're like, well, this other project's consumed all their money. Let's talk to you next year.
Got it. And so you say you got a couple of sales out of it, or one sale?
Yeah,
2
we've
sales.
certainly got enough in sales to cover the cost of the whole marketing campaign. Plus, we've got all the marketing assets.
Got it.
For future use.
And so, is this a campaign that you'll be running again, or you feel that you've had that you've had one crack at it, and that's one that'll be it?
No, it'll be something we run again. So the best part about it is, like I had the expression, you build coin machines. So if we have a system that works, so if we send out 100 iPads and get no sales out of it, that's not a system that works. But if we can send out 20 iPads and get 2 big sales out of it, that's actually pretty good. If we got one sale out of it, it'd be all right. Because the sale we get from that, they pay subscription every year. It's ongoing revenue. So yeah, I think it's a good, certainly something we'll be doing again, and we'll balance that with our capacity to deliver as well, and our sales pipeline.
Yeah, very good. Okay, it's pretty innovative. And where did you get the idea from?
I was reading a LinkedIn post for a guy called Brett Adcock who's built Archer, he's built Figure, and previous to that, he had another company where it was a recruitment company, and his sales tactic was they sent out drones without the remote control, and in the box it said, call us for the remote control. So I thought, well, drones pretty expensive. And it's a kind of several different things. So every time you'd show someone the iPad, so the system administration automation product Attune is difficult to sell. That's why we want to get it in people's hands. But the iPad and that software is easy. You can put it in front of anyone, and they can touch it with their hands and understand exactly what it does instantly. So that's like, well, we need to get it into people's hands. So then to see it, and that's how we settled on it being an okay idea to try.
Very good. And so those over the years, that recurring revenue is obviously turned to be very, very successful way to get your name out there.
So what do they call that? Cross vertical selling. So we sell multiple verticals within the same team within a utility. So we sell a product, and then we talk to the team. We can also say, hey, we also sell this. I don't know if people are aware of this, but just because you have one product in there, everyone in the team doesn't know everything you do. In fact, no one does unless you tell them.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen that actually. And one of the things we're doing for clients at the moment is we're redoing their invoice, and as part of just an invoice, but at the bottom is a did you know section. Did you know that we do this, this, and this? And what that's done is actually created, because they receive the invoice every month, or they receive the invoice, on whatever cycle it is, and just people in the business are starting to see that they're actually they do other services within the organization. It's so common, actually. I've found that you do one thing for somebody, they put you in that box, right? And then how do we actually get out of that box? How do we say, hey, look, we do all of these other things? So
that's a fantastic idea.
The invoice,
yeah.
Please use it. It's not mine, but like you, I read a lot of marketing books, and how do we make sure that our clients know everything that we do? Well, let's send them. When we send an invoice, or tell them, we tell them what else we do.
Well, even if you do tell them, it's not like they don't really care. So
no,
you can tell them a few times, especially at the right time is even better.
Yeah. Well, what I love about the iPad idea is that you can't delete it. It's very difficult. You can send 100 email messages and they can all be deleted. You can set up a rule, get out of here. But that iPad sits on the desk.
They also felt obligated to talk to us as well.
Yep.
It was it was an interesting exchange, because the first time I heard one of my previous bosses said that, like, if you give someone something, they're obliged to give something back. They feel obligated.
Yep.
So we
I
talked
think
to
that's
them
the
like,
law of reciprocity.
yeah, we're selling, giving, like, call them up. We're going to give you an iPad.
And then they have to talk to you next.
Yeah.
So we'd have to make sure that the return, even if you only got one deal out of that 20, you're still going to pay for all the iPads and still give you the ability to create profit and still do the work, right?
Well, I worked out based on the initial software purchase price only, and I worked out all the clients that it was sending it to and what their initial software purchase price would be, and I worked out how many customers we would need to get. So I did work that out beforehand, but mainly it's just to make those other people happy who think I don't plan anything.
And so over the last couple of years, just moving topics, over the last couple of years, you've reduced your team, and that's been a strategy of yours to I guess leverage your business to be more profitable. What else? How else have you thought about your team structure at the moment inside your business?
So that's a long journey. So it goes back to when we started Synerty. We say, like, I started Synerty. So I was a I developed software. I was also a system administrator. So I had these two strong skills at the start. I was also working in the niche electricity distribution utility industry. And then I thought, I want to write great software and sell it. I thought it was easy as saying that. It was not as easy as saying that. So I was kind of a shy person, didn't want to ask too much stuff. And I learned that I learned a lot about business and having to do it. So we go from there to starting the company to then we took on consultancy work. I referring to the business as always we. Took on consultancy work to pay the bills. So I had a young family at the time and built, looking back, I can tell you what was happening. So we built connections with people, and we also found their use cases or what their needs were along the way. Got consultancy money at the same time. So I could have made a lot more money if I was just consulting full time, but I never wanted to do that. So I only consulted as much as I need to pay the bills, and then the rest of the time spent writing software. I developed many prototypes that probably could have come out in hindsight if I had understood more about sales and what it takes to push a product, because I had a product, had a proof of concept, developed proof of concept, talked to some people about it. One person wouldn't be interested. I'm like, oh, no, that's not a good idea. And I didn't realize that you probably need about 100 to get a good feel. So I moved from there, and then I guess a lot happened in the middle, basically more of the same. Then we got to a point where we had lots of consultancy work and people coming to us asking us to do projects. We were always the second choice when it was urgent, so that was good for pricing. As always, we will go for the IBM equivalent, and then when we're behind on schedule, we'll go get Synerty to come and help when they're desperate.
Got it.
So yeah, we had a big team of 15 consultants and projects across Australia and New Zealand, but that was running at a very risky cash flow position. So we spoke to some private equity specialists, and they were like, okay, well, what's this company worth? The goal has been to try and build a company where the shares or the equity of the company is worth something.
Yes.
So we spoke to them, like, what's this worth? They're like, nothing. So they said, basically, unless you've got a massive services company, the services work or services side of business is not valued at all by equity, well, private equity investors or other equity investors.
Yep.
So from then we had a slow pivot. You can't just drop all your current projects and clients. A slow pivot of reducing staff and not taking on new work to focus on our products. But also during the same period, we made large sales in the products, which then we were able to pivot to. If we hadn't made those product sales, which, like you said, there's a symmetry between the services and the products. While we're there delivering something, we're always telling about the product. And that's how we get the interest in the product and got the product sold. So yeah, then we transitioned to grew this product services or support, and then we transitioned the company to running off of it.
Yeah, very cool.
So that's
so. What's been the biggest lessons that you've learned? Sorry, mate, go on.
It's a very slow way to bootstrap a company.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine. So what do you find has been the biggest lessons that you've learned over the last 18 years of working throughout those various iterations of business?
Biggest lesson: nothing happens without sales, and software development teams are difficult.
Got it. Very good. Well, mate, look, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for taking me through that really interesting marketing campaign. I can see a whole bunch of iPads being bought and being sent out. So thanks very much for your time, and I'll talk to you again. All the best.
Thanks for having me on.
See you later.
Thanks. See you.